I've said before, one of the reasons why I keep on covering stuff going on in the Conservative Party, it is interesting because they are still a dominant power on the right of our politics. Um, if the party dies completely, that will be something we haven't witnessed for years in this country, like going back to even like what 1930s at that point. Like we are talking a monumental shift in our politics. A shift if that happens. But it's rare, shall we say, that someone would come out and say that the party's dead. The party has died. There's no point. Time to, dare I say, make a new party. And I'm like, this is what is being advocated for in Conservative Home. The guy who would be looking at the moment is called Paul Hodgins, and he was the leader of Richmond Council, I believe it was. Yes, he was the former Conservative leader of Richmond Council. And it's fascinating to see that you are now seeing this crisis on the right start to get worse because they have worried so much about reform and have moved so right to copy reform. They've now left a lot of other people who are still right wing, but a lot more towards the center, completely politically homeless. To the point where this guy feels, as you'll see in a moment, he feels he has no other choice but to advocate for the creation of a new right wing, or sorry, center right party. Okay. Split that right wing vote even more. Go for it. Let the fun begin. Oh boy. But before we get more into this, please do remember to click the like, share, and subscribe button. Down below, of course, there is the Patreon page, there's the Buy Me Coffee link, there's the YouTube thank you button, there's the Patreon page, and of course, the Pony Club down below as well. So, as always, thank you very much to all those people who do help support the channel. Even if you do just click like and share button, it's all good. So, as always, let's crack on then into this because, oh my, Conservative Home running a blog from a former Conservative leader basically just saying, we need a brand new political party. How much pull influence does this guy have? How much is his view represented amongst his own fellow Conservatives? Who knows? But it's interesting to think that Conservative Home would run this. So, back onto this. So, he begins with a quote. There is no way of sugarcoating this, so I will just come out with it. The Conservative Party is dead. In fact, it's been dead for quite some while. So wrote the Conservative Home columnist Peter Franklin quite recently. He is dead right. William Atkinson was repeatedly warning the very same things in his last days as his website's assistant editor. And oh boy, did we cover that. Will, I think, is in full conservative midlife crisis mode to the point where recently, where he was on LBC, where Aid Thompson was on with him, he was aping Boris Johnson. And I don't know how many people found that quite weird. He had like the fluffy quiff hairstyle. He was like getting like the Boris mannerisms out with the hand gestures. He was saying verbally things that would resemble Boris Johnson. And it's kind of weird that these young conservatives, which Will is, seem to think that the way to succeed or to separate themselves is to become copy imitations of Boris Johnson. I find it quite weird, but hey, to each their own, right? To each their own. So he continues. I, and of course others, have too written very similar things in the recent past. More and more people are now reaching the inevitable conclusion. The Conservative Party will not emerge from this death spiral. I think that is even more interesting, that there are now, admittedly, from what he's saying here, the Conservative Party is in a death spiral. There's no way of getting out of it. That means the party is on a collision course with its end. It's just a question of, when will that end be? Will it be a year from now, 2 years now, 3 years from now? Who knows? So let's continue. That, of course, does not make this a very worrying time. With that acceptance comes relief. In fact, for an entrepreneurial Politico, it is a very thrilling time. Old organizations are broken and not fit for purpose. The world has changed. There is a huge market gap. But can you fill said gap? Is it possible to do when, let's say, that particular party already exists? It's called the Lib Dems. And bear in mind, you've seen membership numbers go up. You've seen their victories in by-elections since the election go up as well. Just keep on pointing this out. But there you go. So there is no, of course, representing party for working age people in currently offering a centre-right way forward of thriving, creating, tolerant but realistic, a well-run country which helps enabling those services. All the people need a country to be thriving just as much as young people need it too. Well, again, why not go to the Lib Dems? Like, I would love to ask this person, why not just go to the Lib Dems? I think that's a very valid point this person needs to understand. Anyway, the most obvious is what is to be done. The cycle of life. One party dies, a new modern party built properly from the ground up arises. And who knows what it will be. Will reform maybe take over the mantle of like the right-wing party for the time being? Will there be like a successor maybe to the Conservative Party started? Well, who knows? Maybe they'll call it the New Conservatives. You know, just like classic Conservatives, you know, and then they'll die and then they'll become old Conservatives, like Coke did, from New Coke back to old Coke or to classic Coke. Anyway, so it's obvious, of course. So admittedly, of course, for a low-risk politician, which of course is most of them, it is a very terrifying time. Deer in the headlights. You can see disaster coming, but you cannot avoid it. The first reaction of at least low-risk politicians when they hear the call for a new party is inevitably too difficult. Never works, except for all those times it did. If you believe that, then you are correct. You cannot do it. You can also cannot fix anything else in the country because creating a modern party built to access the challenges of the next 10, 20, even 30 years when people are so desperately crying out for it is one of the easiest challenges the country is facing. And so it is absolutely necessary if the country is to continue to thrive. Everything in politics is connected. Party structure, the organisation, membership, candidate selection, quality of MPs and leadership, values, aims, policies, competence in implementation, strength in standing up for the press, the ability to, quote, sell and even communicate. It all needs working together or the whole does not work. Exactly. And that guy, bear in mind what he's just put there, is part of the reason why the Conservative Party is in such a state. The party structure is creaking. It is creaking. How long can it hold itself together? The organization and its membership have just gone into completely different paths. The membership is absolutely, completely wackadoodle, and that, as a result, has been the resulted in the selection of candidates that are just as equally completely wackadoodle, which has then lent to a massive dip in the quality of its MPs and even its leadership, which has then lent into a complete erosion of its values, aims, policies, competence completely. Take this morning, the example of the recent two MPs that were detained in Israel recently. Kimmy Badnock. I don't care. You don't care that two UK MPs got arrested? Now, yeah, they were from the Labour Party, but even still, you should care. Like, you should care on that front. But there was a time where Conservatives would have cared. Apparently, not anymore. So, it is, of course, difficult to be very sure, given the recent efforts in creating new parties, e.g. Change UK. They have been, of course, half-baked effort that were doomed from the start, but it has been done elsewhere. And it has been done every day in the real world, and it can be done here too. Big problem we face, first past the post. First past the post is very, very difficult for new parties to break in. You really have to have a very good long run up and be very, very funded in this. As, shall we say, one Nigel Farage is currently at the moment. So, what should this new party look like? So, what are the benefits of building a new modern party? They are included, but are certainly not limited to the following reasons below. We all get involved in politics because we want the UK to thrive, new ideas, high quality people, clarity of purpose. We do not get involved to fight endlessly amongst ourselves and manage decline in now a broken, outdated organization. Oh, yes, let's just continuously fight endlessly. But the problem of that really becomes a point of party discipline that was broken by that party. And how do you intend to make sure that, again, does not happen in this new party? Of course, there are, differing views and conflicts in any group, but there is, of course, creative conflict, and then there is the Conservative Party dysfunction. That certainly is true on that. We've seen that for a number of years, even now, at this moment of time. How long will Kimmy Badnock last? To be honest, given the results that may happen on May the 1st, someone may just light a match, and then it could be just a matter of time. Anyway, we obviously need to build a vehicle that provides a sense of purpose, leaving a legacy, making the country better, but not one for constantly trying to fight off saboteurs, mediocrity, cliques, nepotism, and feeling that in the end, that all of that was what was that all that wasted effort for? Not a lot of policies currently coming forward at the moment, which is, primarily what you need. Good speeches like this are nothing if you don't give some policy. So let's see if you actually give some policy. We need, of course, an effective party designed to make things happen, focused on the detail of making government work better, not worrying about the blob by unqualified ministers. Okay, get on with doing the job. Don't complain when things go wrong that, oh, it must be the blob that stopped this from happening. That means ditching your ideologies and being willing to admit maybe your ideas aren't working or maybe your policies aren't working. Interesting that he would say that, but we will see if that happens. So, Britain, of course, both its major political parties have lost any ability to take risks. Risk avoidance is now embedded into their DNA, is killing the country. Life is uncertain. Innovation is about uncertainty. Given the amount of uncertainty going on at the moment, the markets do not respond well to uncertainty. As we've seen it here in the UK, and now America is experiencing it itself. We must take risks to be innovative and successful, but what risks? Only in a party built for it will be able to now generate exciting ideas and solutions, try them out, explain them, and be willing to be accepted for doing some things that ultimately do not work. And those are. Anyway, we need a structure that attracts the country's best people, not one that embeds the declining meritocracy that allows the problem people to bring everyone else down. So how exactly are you going to do that? A clean slate party. I have a feeling he's been leading a lot of Dominic Cummings blogs by saying that. That people from all backgrounds and areas of the country do feel very much welcomed. No false historical Tory/Labour identity would, of course, unlock huge potential. The Conservative Party now finds itself limits itself to about 20% of the country, which again, this is something definitely from Dominic Cummings' blog. If you don't know, Cummings recently wrote a blog saying that, the reason why the Conservative Party is dead, it now only appeals to about 20% of the country, because he's predicted by the time of the next election, a lot of other people have died, meaning that 30% of the Conservatives and Reform currently are now fighting over shrinks down to 20%. Interesting blog. Not sure how factually accurate it is, but interesting nonetheless to think that. We need, of course, a very clear focus on making the country thrive, especially for young and working age people. If people aged under 50 are not thriving, people over the age of 70, of course, are not supported, and our country is not thriving. A modern party gives us the opportunity to lead again, set an example for others around the world, make Britain a dynamic, thriving world, the change that we need to modernize it. So, okay, again, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? So, what is needed? Finally. So, building a new party is just like starting a new business. It needs proper thought, proper planning, proper expectation setting. It's not just a collection of people replicating what already exists. There is far too much detail to be included here, but to give an idea, it includes elements of the following. Okay, let's see what we got. It starts, of course, with a meaningful discussion of what principles and values the party is about. A written document addressing belief in the goodness and creativity of people, family, and community, the purpose of government exchanging in the world, pride in country, etc. Principles which, of course, do not change, and upon which other positions are derived. So, essentially, you're going to have a party with a constitution of like, this is what we believe. What happens if you don't believe that, or maybe the party drifts away from that constitution? Then what happens? There needs to be, of course, examples of how these principles and values work, and of course they ultimately to translate into policies. What I've been saying, give us the policies. Principles, values are, of course, long-term. Policies are, of course, short to medium-term. Transition of those policies and values. I would argue that they're also long-term policies as well. Okay. For example, low tax on its own is not a core principle. Shockingly, I agree with them. Just saying we want low tax, that has lots of implications. What should the state no longer do? What is it no longer going to fund if you want to lower the tax revenue? But he continues, it is, of course, a vague relative outcome which serves a purpose and which is now gets separated in political consideration from the services those tax paid for. It doesn't answer the question. If low taxes are good, why are there any taxes at all? The real question is, what should and shouldn't the government do, and why? Because if you came out and said that you wanted not to fund this government service anymore, this government department anymore, people might not like that. And that's why the Conservatives, for years, have always dodged that question. Oh, we're just for low tax. Well, okay, what are you going to do? Well, we don't mean defunding public services, because the majority, as you've seen time and time again, when people say, do you want to fund public services? When you look at the Conservatives, they all respond, we want good public services. Everyone in the UK wants public services, which means low tax is just a complete non-starter. Like, just throw that out now. Throw that out now, basically. So, as an organizational structure, it needs to be defined and fit for the modern world, built on modern technology and able to adapt quickly. That structure needs to address a number of challenges that brought down our old parties. The current models, while declining and aging membership in a fast-moving world, do not work anymore. There are, of course, competing problems that need to be solved. So again, what are going to be happening on that? You've given us one policy, which you basically said, well, we are going to have low taxes, but we are going to make the argument of, why the government should not be doing and should be doing stuff and why that happens. Okay, fine. But be prepared for some serious pushback when people say, no, we kind of like that government service. Why are you defunding it? But anyway, back into this. So a party, of course, needs debate and, of course, multiple voices, but it also must present the public with a coherent mission, a plan, high-quality candidates, representatives, and a thorough of its principles be driven into things right for the country and just for not just for self-preservation. Okay, how do you do that? How do you do that? It must prevent out of touch groups of elites from embedding itself into the party leadership. It must also prevent small groups of troublemakers at every level from hijacking the efforts of everyone else. So again, how? How do you do that? you know? Alongside that structure, a set of operating principles are needed that are, of course, different from the principles of the party. These include risk taking, an empowered team, never again becoming a one person show, an empowered team. Well, I would argue at that point that should be up to those list of individuals that can be put forward and fielded, not just relying on one person and becoming cult of personality as they did certainly under Boris Johnson. Even now, you look at the current leadership, all the Badnoch supporters are hoping that Kimmy Badnoch is somehow secretly the next Thatcher. Meanwhile, of course, all the Robert Jerrick supporters are somehow secretly hoping he's the next Margaret Thatcher in disguise. It's strange, but that's the current state of the Conservative Party. It is weird, it is strange, and it is bizarrely fascinating to watch. This whole party just implode one day after the next, after bizarre decision, after considering bizarre decision. It is a complete and absolute comedy show. But anyway, he continues. So they need expectation setting, a defined culture, a tone of voice, proper management, and recruitment of people. This is not a club. So again, how do you do that? You've said things, but how does that all fit together? Anyway, the name, of course, must convey what the party is about. It cannot be one that is only temporarily and currently relevant, reform or change UK. It must inspire and guide behaviour. Must amongst hold involved. Ironically, the name of the Conservative Party now holds it back. It is meant. It has become mean to stop anything new from happening. The core team of initial group need people that will make it happen, including thinkers, architects, coordinators, managers, funders, the doers, the high-profile sponsors and promoters. This is straight out of Dominic Cummings' playbook, I see here. While expectation setting and the defining realistic exemptions, of course, is key, it will be a 10 to 15-year project. At least I'm glad he admits that. Not just 2 to 3 years. Looking ahead, 2035 and 2024 seem a completely long way off. But looking back, 2015 and even 2010 just seem like yesterday. Like any new venture, a stage business you need a plan. You need a pre-seed, 6 months to a year plan, build the core team. Building on that detailed plan, the structure and principles, gaining key support early, raising seed funds, seed an early stage 1 or 2 year plans to how to practically build momentum, a series of A/B 2 5-year plans starting up from a moving up to a challenger, a 10-year plan moving from challenger to government. Even that is incredibly optimistic, but there you go. The final and, of course, most positive factor is the need to successfully start a new party. Like any business is, of course, luck. This means the right time, the right place. There has never been a better time, greater need. The lowest even vote share of now 3 main parties starting to decline. We have incompetent brewing competition being picked off by protest parties that will never deliver anything. Can't disagree with him on that. There is, of course, an enormous gap in the market where no proper party is serving the increasingly frustrated groups of working age people. If you cannot face the challenge, by all means, stay in the withering Conservative Party. See you at the funeral. But it is time for those who can do and get real and act. It is an enormous waste of time to see good people in their prime sitting on the sidelines, wasting time, praying for a miracle that is not coming, resigned or declining in mediocrity. The country now desperately needs a party that can successfully lead it. It's been done before and it can be done again. Work has already started on much of this. Interesting. Giving away that there's a secret party now possibly about to pop up and emerge. There is, of course, much to do. If you're interested, find me and get in touch. Yeah, interesting time to be writing that, I think. And that is, of course, I think a signal that hey, there's something new about to happen. Another right-wing Conservative Party. And bear in mind, if the Conservative Party absolutely tanks in, let's say, these May upcoming elections, then all of a sudden, this is when you might see this new party emerge and go, hello, which will be, oh my word. Could you imagine having three parties on the right? Not only would you have Reform, like the Conservatives, but then this new party, and it is now split three ways. At that point, the right wing vote becomes split three ways. I mean, uh, but okay, go for it. Go for it. Split that right wing vote, my friend. I wait to see with anticipation what is coming, but it's another party and it's going to fail. And if you think that just, oh, you don't understand, if we just explain why we want low taxes, that'll somehow get people to vote for us. Thing is, you look at constant polls, people want good public services. That means you have to fund them. There is no way you can get out of that. No way at all. So good luck trying to sell that to the British public. But as always, let me know what you think down below. But oh my word, yeah, a new party on the way on the right. Yeah, that could be fun. That could be very fun indeed. So as always, thank you very much for watching, and of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.